Welcome to the next episode of the Gallic War. In the last episode, a new opponent appeared, the Germanic king Ariovistus. As an appointed friend of Rome, he enjoyed the support of many senators, but Caesar had to eliminate him if he wanted to gain further influence over Gallic territories. All peaceful negotiations up to this point had failed. After Ariovistus's provocation, Caesar was reached by Gallic envoys sent by the Aedui and Treveri. The Aedui complained that the Haruds, who were brought to Gaul by Ariovistus, were ravaging their land. They had already given Ariovist hostages as part of a peace agreement. The Treveri reported that a large gathering of Suebi met on the Rhine and would probably soon cross the river and invade Gallic territory. Caesar had to prevent this. He feared that the new Suebi troops would unite with the old ones of Ariovistus, which would make a fight against him much more difficult. That's why he marched his troops towards the Germanic king. After 3 days, scouts reported to him that Ariovistus probably wanted to occupy Vesontio. Vesontio was the largest city of the Sequani and had a large supply of food and weapons. The city was easy to defend because the Doubs River meandered in a circle around the city. Furthermore, it was protected by a nearby mountain. A siege attack had to be avoided. He had to get there faster than his enemy. In a forced march, they made it into the city in time before him. They rested for a few days, and Caesar prepared for his next steps. The local merchants and Gauls started talking to the legionnaires. They praised the enormous size and incredible bravery of the Germans. They had never seen such fierce and indomitable fighting power. Rumors spread. Some soldiers became frightened when they heard the numerous horror stories. The fear was sparked primarily by the military tribunes and prefects, who were mostly young and inexperienced in war. They had received their positions not through performance but through favors. Some immediately reported to Caesar and asked for his permission to leave. Some others were seized with shame and lamented in the presence of their comrades. Due to the constant complaining, even the experienced soldiers became increasingly restless, and some of them no longer wanted to go into the field against Ariovistus. Caesar called an army meeting before panic took over, and his mission would fail even before he could go into battle. He called in all the centurions and made violent accusations against them. He said, "Ariovistus enjoyed the friendship of the Roman people. Why is he unfaithful now? Only rage and delusion can be the reason for this act. Don't worry, he will soon realize his mistake. Even in the time of their fathers, they had fought against the Germans and won. So remember my great-uncle Gaius Marius, who defeated the Cimbri and Teutons. Spartacus's slave rebellion had been bloodily suppressed, even though the gladiators were experienced fighters. The Helvetians, whom we had just defeated, had already won a few victories against the Germans. There is no reason to be afraid. Ariovistus only won the Battle of Magetobriga through stratagem. He had hidden in the swamps for months and struck at the right moment. A Roman cannot be taken by surprise, and especially not by such a cheap maneuver. Anyone who resists fighting against Ariovistus is either a coward or doubts my competence as a general. Our supply situation is good. We're well rested. I want to leave next night, and then we'll see whose feeling of duty and whose feeling of fear. If necessary, I will go into battle alone, with only the 10th Legion as my bodyguard. They will never let me down." The speech achieved its desired effect. The fear disappeared and excitement filled the room. The tribunes and centurions apologized to Caesar, and he accepted them. They set off in the night and made their way to Ariovistus. After 7 days, they reached his camp. The two generals agreed to an interview, but Ariovistus insisted that Caesar not bring any foot soldiers to the negotiations. Otherwise, he was afraid of being surrounded by him. Caesar accepted the decision. Unfortunately, his cavalry consisted mainly of Gallic horsemen, to whom he did not want to trust his life, so he decided to install the 10th Legion as his bodyguard. He ordered them to mount the Gallic horses. One of the legionnaires made a joke and remarked that because of this order, he is now a nobleman. The negotiation took place on a mound of earth in the middle of the two camps. The riders took up positions about 300 meters away, and 10 riders each followed them to the meeting point. Caesar made his usual demands. Ariovistus rejected them again. He saw himself in the right. After all, he crossed the Rhine at the request of the Gauls. Why should he leave now? After all, he took a big risk, and he wants to be rewarded accordingly. He did not seek war with the Gauls. After all, the Gauls had allied themselves against him and challenged him to battle. As a victor, it was his right to demand tribute and keep the area occupied. If the Romans, as his allies, forbade him to demand his rights, he no longer wanted to be a friend of the Roman people. The troops of Suebi who were about to cross the Rhine only served to secure his territory. He had been in Gaul longer than the Romans, and yet the Romans took it upon themselves to illegally march through Gallic territory or his territory while he had followed the rules. Now he was angry.
I must assume that you have an army in Gaul, and that you are feigning friendship with the Aedui in order to destroy me. If you do not leave with your troops, I will not consider you a friend, but an enemy. With your death, I would be doing many Roman nobles a favor. I would buy their thanks and their friendship with your destruction. I don't need you as a friend. Stay out of Gaul, and I will reward you richly. In every other fight, I will be at your side as a supporter.
How will Caesar react to this offer? Is he still looking for a fight? You'll find out next time. Your Geek Philosopher.